Right now, I am standing on the asphalt of my own driveway. The air is a weather report of 42-degree rain and the smell of wet pine needles. I am holding two 30-gallon heavy-duty black trash bags. Everything I have built in the last 5 years, my clothes, my degrees, my work laptop, is packed inside them. The rain is hitting the plastic, sounding like a muffled, rhythmic laugh. 2 weeks ago, my mother sat on the $4,200 Italian leather sofa I paid for in cash. She was holding a glass of $120 scotch I bought for her birthday. She didn't look at my face. She said, "Maya, you have to understand, Kevin has 3 children now. His wife left, he lost the job at the dealership, and he has nowhere to go. He needs the square footage. He needs the school district. You are a high earner. Moving into a luxury studio won't even hurt your savings." It's not an act of selfishness. It's just resource optimization for the family. By the way, if you're watching this video, subscribe. Tell me where you're from. Are you the one paying the mortgage, or are you the one being optimized out of your own life? It was 2019. I had just passed my CPA exams. My starting salary was $65,000, and I had exactly $500 in my savings account. Mom said we needed to protect the family legacy. She found a house, a 4-bedroom colonial with a wrap-around porch. Price, $385,000. Kevin didn't have the credit score for a library card. Mom's retirement fund was a weather report of empty promises and a $12,000 credit card debt. So I was the one. I signed the 30-page mortgage document. I was the primary payer. The deed was in Mom's name for tax purposes, but the liability was mine. I spent 5 years becoming a ghost of productivity. I worked while the house slept. I ate $4 protein bars in the dark of my cubicle at 2 a.m. I didn't just pay the $2,100 monthly mortgage. I paid for the $12,000 roof replacement in 21. I paid for the $6,500 high-efficiency HVA system. I paid for the property taxes that increased by 4.2% every year. I was the alchemist turning my stress into their stability. Kevin lived in the same house for 3 of those years. Kevin got the $18,000 secondhand BMW paid for by family funds, which meant my overtime pay. Kevin got the master bedroom with the south-facing view and the walk-in closet. I did a 60-square-foot room next to the laundry room. I got the sound of the dryer's 1200. Our PM spin cycle at midnight. He was the golden child. I was the bank. 3 days ago, Kevin arrived for good. He had 3 kids, 2 suitcases, and $0. He looked at my room and told Mom it would make a perfect nursery. Mom didn't ask me. She didn't consult the ledger of my sacrifices. She spoke like she was reading a weather report for a Tuesday morning. "You are already a winner. Winners don't mind sleeping on a friend's couch for a while." She had already changed the smart lock code. The new code is the birthday of Kevin's oldest son. She doesn't know. The black folder at the bottom of my second trash bag isn't a tax return. It is a notice of default. I stopped paying the mortgage 4 months ago when I saw Kevin's new $45,000 truck in the driveway, a truck Mom helped him get with the house emergency fund. I didn't tell them I had moved the equity into a private trust. I didn't tell them the bank is coming for the $4,200 sofa in exactly 30 days. The weather report for this house: foreclosure. 100% chance of total loss. I am sitting on a $200 sofa in my friend Sarah's guest room. The fabric is polyester. It smells like lavender detergent and old books. It is a weather report of 68 degrees and safety. My mother called me 3 times today. She didn't ask if I had a roof over my head. She didn't ask if I had eaten. She said, "Maya, the Wi-Fi isn't working. Kevin needs it for his consulting work, and the kids are crying because they can't watch Disney Plus. Did you forget to pay the bill? Fix it. It's the least you can do after leaving us in such a mess." The absence of the person who pays the $145 monthly internet bill The absence of the person who stocks the $400 weekly grocery list. The absence of the $18.50 an hour labor that keeps the lawn mowed and the gutters cleaned. If you're still listening. Tell me, have you ever been blamed for the hole that appears when you stop letting people walk all over you? I didn't tell her that the Wi-Fi wasn't just not working. I didn't tell her that I had called the provider and terminated the account. I didn't tell her that the router, the $300 high-speed unit I bought in 2020, is currently at the bottom of one of my 30-gallon black trash bags. I spoke like I was reading the weather report for a Tuesday morning. I said, "The account is closed, Mom. Kevin is a consultant. Consultants know how to set up their own infrastructure. AI supposed Mom gravity? I hope." Then came the microaggression. "You've always been so sensitive about money, Maya. Family isn't a transaction. But fine. Kevin will handle it. He's a man. He'll figure it out." I looked at the black folder. Kevin hasn't figured out that the property taxes were due 48 hours ago. Kevin hasn't figured out that the water heater is leaking exactly 1.2 liters an hour. Kevin hasn't figured out that he is living in a house that is already legally dead. 2019. The year of the first mortgage payment. The air was a weather report of $4 instant coffee and fluorescent lights. I was 24 years old. My salary was $65,000. The mortgage was $2,100. Property taxes were $600 a month. Utilities were $450. After the bills, I had exactly $112 left for the month. The golden child contrast was absolute. Kevin got the freedom to find himself. Kevin got the $1,200 a month allowance Mom gave him out of the household budget, which was my paycheck. Kevin got the $45 bar tabs. Kevin got the $120 sneakers. I got the $15 mechanical keyboard from a thrift store. I got the 80-hour weeks. I got the chronic back pain from the $50 office chair. 2021, the roof leaked during a hurricane. The repair estimate was $12,000. Mom looked at me. She didn't ask if I had the money. She said, "The house is an investment in our future, Maya. You wouldn't want the kids, when Kevin eventually has them, to live under a tarp, would you?" I worked an extra 20 hours a week doing tax returns for small businesses. I paid the $12,000. Kevin bought a $2,500 gaming PC that month. Mom said it was good for his mental health. I realized the ledger would never balance. I realized that I was a biological ATM. I realized that if I died tomorrow, they wouldn't cry at my funeral. They would cry because the funeral was expensive and I wasn't there to pay for the casket. So, I started the void protocol. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just started moving the equity, methodically. $2,000 here, $5,000 there, into a private trust they didn't know existed. I stopped paying the mortgage in secret 4 months ago. I wanted to see how long it would take for the golden child to notice the smell of the fire. A month before I was kicked out. Sunday dinner. The roast beef was $65. The wine was $45. I paid for both. Kevin was talking about his new venture. He was going to disrupt the logistics industry. He needed $10,000 for seed capital. The weather report tone was back. "Maya, you have that? It's only fair. Kevin is the one who will carry on the Sterling name. You'll get married and change yours. Your money is temporary. His legacy is permanent." I looked at Kevin. He was wearing a $1,200 watch, a gift from Mom. A gift bought with the emergency fund I had replenished 3 times. He said, "Come on, sis, don't be a hoarder. The kids deserve to see their dad succeed. You're a CPA. You're stable. Stable people don't need bonuses. They need to support the visionaries. Stable, a word they used to describe the floor. They don't realize that the floor is what's holding the whole house up, and floors can be removed." I said, "I'll think about it." I went to my room. I listened to the 1-200 RPM spin cycle of the dryer. I looked at the notice of default in the black folder. I realized the floor was already gone. They just hadn't looked down yet. Day 1. Kevin is officially the man of the house. He doesn't know that the oil tank is at 5% capacity. He doesn't know that an oil delivery is $850. He doesn't know that the oil company has my credit card on file and I just deactivated it. If you're still listening, subscribe. Tell me, what is the exact second you realized your family loved your bank account more than your heart? Day 5. Mom called. Maya, the oil truck didn't come. The house is 58 degrees. The kids are shivering. Call them. Tell them there's been a mistake. I was sitting in my new office. A small white space with a window that looks at the city. I am paying $1,800 a month for this silence. It is worth every cent, I said. There's no mistake, Mom. I canceled the automatic delivery contract. Kevin is the visionary. Visionaries provide their own heat. She spoke with the weather report coldness. You're a monster, Maya. A cold, calculating monster. Your father would be He always knew you were the selfish one. I looked at a photo of my father. He died in 2017. He left everything to Mom. He left me the opportunity to take care of her. I realized that my father had programmed the ATM. He just forgot to include a withdrawal limit. Day 10. Kevin found a letter in the mailbox. It was from the bank. It wasn't a promotional offer. It was a notice of intent to foreclose. He called me at 11 p.m. His voice was a weather report of high-frequency panic. Maya, what the hell is this? The bank says the mortgage hasn't been. That's impossible. You pay the mortgage. The time was exactly 11:14 p.m. I was drinking a $4 cup of tea. I said, I pay the mortgage for my home, Kevin. But Mom, she said it was yours. She said you were the one who would carry on the legacy. Legacies don't come for free. Fix it, he screamed. I have 3 kids in this house. You can't let them be homeless. I looked at the black folder on my desk. The total debt on the house was $312,000. The market value was $450,000. I had moved the $138,000 of equity into the trust months ago, through a legal loophole in the cosigner agreement. The bank wasn't just coming for the house. They were coming for a hollow I said. I didn't let them be homeless, Kevin. Mom, she's the one who gave you the keys to a sinking ship. Day 15. Mom showed up at my friend Sarah's house. She didn't bring flowers. She didn't bring an apology. She brought a plan. She sat at the kitchen table and looked at me like I was a spreadsheet with a bug in the code. Maya, here's what we're going to do. You're going to take out a home equity loan. You're going to pay off the arrears. And then, you're going to put Kevin on the deed. It's the only way to protect the family name. Once he's on the deed, he can get a small business loan and pay you back. The logic was a weather report of pure insanity. She wanted me to go further into debt to give the house to the man who took my room. She wanted me to be the stable furniture that was also a safety net. I said no. She blinked. She didn't know the word. What do you mean, no? You're the one with the money. You're the one who is supposed to handle these things. I stood up. I am wearing a $200 wool sweater. My hair is clean. My eyes are no longer bloodshot from 80 out. I said, I am no longer the one, Mom. I am just a woman who lives in a luxury studio. And you? You are the owner of a colonial house with a $312,000 problem. Day 20. Kevin tried to get a job. He went to the dealership where he used to work. They told him his credit was too low to handle the financing paperwork. He went to the bank to talk about the mortgage. They told him he wasn't on the account. They told him they could only talk to Maya Sterling. He called me. He was crying. Maya, please. Just 1 month. I'll find a way. I'll sell the truck. The truck. The $45,000 truck Mom bought him with the emergency fund. The one that is currently worth $28,000 because he drove it off the lot. I said, sell the truck, Kevin. But the arrears are $84,000. The property taxes are $7,200, and the bank doesn't want 1 month. They want the whole thing. I looked at the weather report. The oil tank is empty. The pipes in the colonial house are made of copper. When copper gets to 20 degrees, it expands. And then it bursts. Day 25. The temperature in the house hit 18 degrees. Kevin was using a space heater in the nursery. He plugged it into a circuit that was designed for a 1970s lamp. The breaker tripped. The heat went out entirely. At 3 a.m., the pipes in the laundry room, right next to my old 60-square-foot room, burst. Exactly 1,200 gallons of water flooded the first floor. Mom called me. She was hysterical. "Maya! The house is flooding. Everything is ruined. The leather sofa is underwater. Call the insurance. Fix it." I was sitting in my studio. I was drinking a glass of $45 wine. The air was 72 degrees. I said, "The insurance is only for the primary resident, Mom, and I don't live there anymore. I updated my address 3 weeks ago. The policy is void." The sound on the other end of the line was the sound of a legacy drowning. Day 30. The notice of sale is posted on the wraparound. It is a weather report of finality. Mom, Kevin, and the 3 kids are packed into the $45,000 truck. They are moving into a 2-bedroom apartment in a part of town Mom used to call the middle of nowhere. The rent is $1,800. They don't have $1,800. I am standing on the sidewalk. I am wearing my black wool coat. I am holding the black folder. I watch the locksmith change the locks again. This time, the code isn't a birthday. This time, it's a random string of numbers generated by a bank computer. Mom walked up to me. Her face was a weather report of aged anger and cold realization. "You did this," she whispered. "You planned this?" "The house I built with my 80-hour weeks and my $4 protein bars," I said. "I didn't do this, Mom. I just stopped doing everything else. You told me I was a winner. And you were right. Winners know when to walk away from a losing game." A black Volvo. Solid. Indestructible. I drove away. The weather was clear. Visibility, infinite. 3 months after the foreclosure. Mom and Kevin are living in a 900-square-foot apartment. The rent is $1,850. The walls are the color of a wet bandage. The air is a weather report of stale cigarette smoke from the neighbors and the smell of cheap microwave ramen. The carpet has a stain in the shape of Ohio. Kevin doesn't have a home office. He has a folding card table in the corner of the living room. Price, $25 at a garage sale, if you're still listening. Subscribe. Tell me, when you lose the palace, does the golden child still look like a king? Mom called me. She didn't ask how my new firm was doing. She didn't ask about the $350,000 in assets I now manage for my own clients. She said, "Maya, we've spoken to a lawyer. His name is Mr. Henderson. He says what you did with the equity trust was financial elder abuse. He says that money belongs to the family. He says if you don't return the $138,000, we will see you in court." Family doesn't sue family, Maya. But you've left us no choice. You've become a stranger to us. The stranger she refers to is the woman who stopped paying for her life.
I didn't yell.
I looked at the $850 an hour retainer I had just paid to my own legal team. I said, "Henderson is a family friend, Mom. He's a real estate lawyer. This is a trust and estates issue. He's out of his depth. But tell him I look forward to the discovery phase. The discovery phase, the part where all the secret ledgers come into the light." Day 100. I received the formal complaint and a yellow on. The filing fee was $435. The allegations were a weather report of pure fiction. Defendant exploited the plaintiff's lack of financial literacy. Defendant diverted family funds into a private vehicle. Mom thinks financial literacy is a gift you're born with. She doesn't realize it's something I bought with 5,000 hours of study. Kevin is the one who drafted the impact statement. He wrote about the emotional trauma his children suffered when the pipes burst. He wrote about the loss of his home office. He wrote about the $45,000 truck that was repossessed because he couldn't make the $750 monthly payment. This is the golden child contrast in a legal font. His failure is my fault. His lack of a job is my responsibility. His children's cold feet are my crime. I spent 40 hours preparing my response. I didn't just include the mortgage statements. I included the $65 receipts for every Sunday roast. I included the $120 invoices for the scotch Mom drank. I included the $2,500 Amazon history for Kevin's gaming PC. I didn't just build a defense. I built an inventory of their greed. 2024. The year I stopped being a stable gear and became the machine. 800 square feet. Industrial windows. A $3,000 espresso machine. The air is a weather report of roasted beans and high-frequency productivity. 29 years old, I am no longer the co-signer. I am the managing partner. I manage the wealth of people who understand that a contract is a sacred boundary. I don't eat $4 protein bars anymore. I eat $25 salads delivered in compostable bowls. I pay my own taxes. I mow no one's lawn. Meanwhile, Kevin is working as a delivery associate. He earns $17.50 an hour. He drives a van that isn't his. He delivers packages to houses that look like the one I paid for. Mom spends her days in the $1,850 apartment. She looks at the $4,200 Italian leather sofa. It was salvaged from the flood, but the leather is cracked. It smells like mildew and regret. The golden child was working, but the engine is gone. Day 150. The mediation room was 72 degrees. The table was made of cheap laminate that looked like oak. Mr. Henderson sat next to Mom and Kevin. He was wearing a suit that was 10 years out of style. He looked at me and said, "Maya, let's be reasonable. You're a wealthy woman now. Your mother is living in a basement to your apartment. Just give them $50,000. Let the family heal." Healing. A word they use when they want to skip the bill. I looked at Mom. She was wearing a $200 jacket I bought her 2 years ago. She said, "It's the Christian thing to do, Maya. You have so much. Kevin has so little. Why are you being so tight-fisted with the money we helped you make?" The we who sat on the sofa while I balanced the books. I pulled out a single sheet of paper from my black folder. It was a record of the emergency fund Mom had used to buy Kevin's truck. It showed that the fund wasn't an emergency fund. It was a $25,000 personal loan I had made to the household in 22-4. A loan that had never been repaid. I said, "I'll give you the $50,000, Mom. On one condition. We conduct a full forensic audit of the last 5 years. Every cent I put in. Every cent you and Kevin took out. If the balance shows I owe you money, I'll pay it. But if it shows you owe me, I expect the apartment's furniture as collateral." Kevin turned the color of an unripened lime. He knew the math. The math says he owes me $82,000 in support. During the audit, I found the final blade. Mom hadn't just been spending my money. She had taken out 3 credit cards in her own name using the house as income verification. Total debt, $42,000. Creditors, high-interest retail stores, and a business development loan for Kevin. The interest rates were 24.99%. She didn't tell the mediator. She thought the $138,000 trust money would just wash it all away. She thought I was the stable furniture that would also serve as a debt eraser. Storm clouds. The credit card companies were already filing for wage. Kevin's $17.50 an hour was about to become $11.20 after the lawyers and the debt collectors took their cut. I said, "The mediation is over. See you in court." A week before the trial, Kevin called me from a burner phone. His voice was a weather report of 3 a.m. desperation. "Maya, please. Mom is having chest pains. She can't handle the stress. Just drop the audit. We'll walk away from the lawsuit. Just give us $10,000 so we can move. The kids are scared. The golden child's ultimate shield. I said, "Is she at the hospital, Kevin?" She's crying. I looked at the $3,000 espresso machine in my office. The pressure was perfect. 15 bars. I said, if she's not at the hospital, it's not an emergency. It's a performance. And Kevin, the $10,000 you want is the exact amount you spent on that gaming PC and those bar tabs in 2011. You already had your move-out money. You just drink it. I hung up. I blocked the burner number. The court date. The judge was a man who looked like he was made of old parchment and absolute logic. Mom took the stand. She tried to cry. She used the golden child script. I gave her everything. I gave her a home. And she stole the equity. He didn't use a script. He used a 50-inch LED screen. He showed the $15,000 mortgage history. He showed the notice of default I had sent to the house via certified mail 4 months before the foreclosure. He showed the signature. Mom's signature. She had signed for the notice. She had known for 4 months that the house was in trouble. She just didn't tell me because she thought I would figure it out and pay it at the last second. Like I always did. The judge looked at Mom. He didn't see a victim. He saw a woman who had gambled with her daughter's credit and lost. The lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice. The judge ordered Mom and Kevin to pay my legal fees. Total, $22,500. Mom and Kevin lost the $1,850 apartment. They couldn't pay the legal fees. They couldn't pay the $42,000 credit card debt. The golden child and the matriarch moved into a trailer park 40 miles away. The trailer is 400 square feet. The air is a weather report of damp wood and old propane. Kevin works 2 jobs now. He delivers packages during the day. He cleans office buildings at night. He cleans buildings that look like mine. Mom sits in a plastic chair. Price, $12. She doesn't have the Italian leather sofa anymore. It was seized by the debt collectors. She looks at the golden child and she doesn't see a visionary. She sees a 35-year-old man who can't pay for a car tune-up. I saw them last week, in the middle of nowhere grocery store. I was there to buy a specific bottle of wine for a dinner party. Price, $85. Mom was in the checkout line. She was counting quarters to pay for a $4.50 gallon of milk and a loaf of bread. She looked at me. She didn't see a monster. She saw a woman who was wearing a $1,200 coat and holding a bottle of wine that cost more than her weekly groceries. She tried to speak. Maya, the kids, they missed the big house. I looked at the milk. It was 2% fat. The expiration date was 3 days away. I said, I miss the big house too, Mom. I miss the house I paid for. But the weather has changed, and I've learned to dress for the cold. I didn't offer the quarters. I didn't buy the milk. I paid for my wine, and I walked out. 2025. I am sitting on the terrace of my new home. It is a penthouse. The floor is made of white oak. Price? $22 per square foot. The wind is 5 miles per hour. The sun is hitting the city skyline at exactly 45 degrees. My pulse is 60 beats per minute. The Sterling name is no longer a burden. It is just a word on a business card. I have a trust. But the only beneficiaries are the people who help me build the future. The golden child is a ghost in a trailer park. The family engine has finally left the station. I reach into my pocket. I find a $15 mechanical keyboard key, the Enter key. The one I used to file the final audit. I walk to the edge of the terrace. I don't throw it. I place it on the stone ledge. It is a piece of furniture now. Sturdy, quiet, unremarkable. My weather report. Visibility, infinite. I am Maya Sterling, and the house is finally mine. 2026. The air in Manhattan is a weather report of 45-degree sleet and the smell of ozone from the subway grates. I am standing in the basement of a bank on 42nd Street. The walls are lined with brushed steel lockers. The annual fee for box number 422 is $150. I've paid it for 7 years. Inside is a single, color-coded binder. It is the shadow ledger of my father's final year. If you're still watching, subscribe. Tell me, when a man dies, does he leave a legacy or just a series of unpaid bills? My mother called me yesterday. She didn't use her own phone. She used a burner phone she bought for $15 at a CVS. She said, "Maya, I found your father's old journals. He said he had a secret account for Kevin's business. He said you were the one who had the key. If you don't give it to us, we're going to the press. We'll tell them you stole the inheritance of a dead man and his 3 grandchildren. The world loves a golden child. The world hates a calculating accountant." The inheritance she refers to is a myth. The account was a credit line my father took out in 2016 to pay for Kevin's first failed dealership. Balance? Negative $42,000. Interest rate 18.9%. I am the one who has been paying the maintenance fee to keep the debt from hitting Mom's name. I've paid $14,500 over 5 years just to keep the ghost in the box. I looked at the steel locker. I realized that I was still protecting the people who had thrown me into the rain. I was still acting as the stable furniture for a family that wanted to turn me into firewood. I opened the box. I didn't take the money. There was no money. I took the original loan document with Kevin's forged signature, the one our father had hidden to keep Kevin out of jail. The weather report for the Sterling name? Absolute zero. Day 200. Mom sent me a photo. It wasn't a photo of the kids. It was a photo of her medical bill from a walk-in clinic in Iowa. Total, $845. The diagnosis was stress-induced hypertension. Attached was a note in her handwriting, the one she used to sign my mortgage papers. "This is the cost of your silence, Maya. The kids are sleeping on a mattress we found on the curb. It smells like damp earth and failure. Is your penthouse worth the blood of your own mother?" The blood she refers to is the result of her own choices. She chose the $45,000 truck for Kevin. She chose the $12,000 credit card debt for the status of the colonial house. She chose to kick out the person who paid the $2,100 mortgage. I looked at the photo of the bill. I looked at the date. The bill was from 3 years ago. She had recycled an old invoice, changed the year with a $1.50 ballpoint pen, and sent it to me as a weapon of guilt. This is the golden child contrast in a medical font. Her lies are survival. I sent the photo of the bill to my forensic accountant. I told him, find every forged document in the family history. I want the DNA of their lies. 2026 to 2027, the year I stopped being a human ATM and became a forensic architect. I worked in a 200-square-foot room in a data center in New Jersey. The air is a weather report of pressurized nitrogen and high-frequency white noise. The cooling system cost $2.4 million a year to maintain. 30 years old, I am no longer the co-signer. I am the auditor of the end. I mapped every cent that left my father's accounts between 2012 and 2017. I found the ghost loans. I found the $120,000 educational grant Kevin used to pay for a vacation in Ibiza. I found the $15,000 house maintenance fund Mom used to buy a mink coat. I worked 90-hour weeks. I ate $4.50 egg and cheese sandwiches in the dark of the server room. My pulse was a steady 60 beats per minute. I wasn't angry. I was just balancing the ledger. Kevin was working as a night janitor at a local mall. He earned $16.50 an hour. He cleaned the floors of stores where he used to be a VIP. She watched the local news on a $45 television with a cracked screen. She waited for the golden child to bring home the win. The win was a bag of generic groceries and a $2 lottery ticket. Day 300. I met with Mr. Henderson, the family lawyer. The man who sat at our Sunday dinners and told me I was lucky to have a brother like Kevin. He was wearing a suit that smelled of stale coffee and 20-year-old cologne. He sat in my office and looked at my $3,000 espresso machine. Maya, let's be adults. Your mother is elderly. Your brother is struggling. The $138,000 in the trust is more than you need. Just give them 50%. Sign a family peace treaty. The legal fees for a trial will cost you $100,000 anyway. Why pay the lawyers when you can pay the blood? The blood he refers to as a parasitic debt. He didn't see Maya Sterling. He saw a stable piece of furniture that he could move back into the corner. He saw a biological calculator that should be happy to serve the human elements. I looked at the silver fountain pen he pushed toward me. Price, $450, I said. Henderson. The trial won't cost me $100,000. Because I'm not just defending the trust. I'm filing a countersuit for 12 counts of forgery and 4 counts of mortgage fraud. And since you were the one who notarized the 2019 deed, I'd suggest you use that pen to sign your own defense. The weather report in his eyes changed from condescension to absolute terror. The silver pen stayed on the table. It looked like a piece of stable furniture that was about to be turned into evidence. 2027. The court date for the sovereign audit. The hearing room was a weather report of high-intensity floodlights and the smell of industrial floor wax. The judge was a woman who looked like she was made of cold iron and 120000 RPM logic. Mom took the stand. She was wearing a $15 dress from a thrift store. She was holding a crumpled tissue. She took everything. She left us in the snow. She is the monster of the Sterling family. My lawyer stood up. He didn't use a tissue. He used a 50-inch LED screen. He showed the loan document from box number 422. He showed the forged signature of my father, dated 2016. He showed the notary stamp of Mr. Henderson. He showed the $120,000 vacation in Ibiza. The room went silent. The kind of silence you find at the bottom of a frozen lake. The judge looked at Mom. She didn't see a victim. She saw the architect of the fraud. The judge dismissed the lawsuit for the trust money. Then she did something the golden child never expected. She referred the case to the district attorney. "This isn't a family dispute," she said. "This is a 10-year criminal enterprise." The sound in the courtroom was the sound of a legacy turning into a prison sentence. Keywords: wax, iron, Ibiza, district attorney, prison, screen, fraud, lake, sentence, tissue. Winter 2027. The weather report for Des Moines, 12 degrees. Wind chill, -5. Snow is piling up against the door of the 400-square-foot trailer. Kevin is sitting at the card table. He has a letter from the district attorney. He has a summons for the mortgage fraud case. He looks at the 3 kids. They're wearing $12 fleeces and shivering. Mom is on the $12 plastic chair. She is crying, but there is no one left to pay for the tissues. She called me one last time. "Maya, they're going to take Kevin. Who will take care? You have the penthouse. You have the money. Bring them to New York. Let them live in your guest room. It's the Christian thing to do." The Christian thing she refers to is a final act of resource optimization. She wanted me to be the safety net for the children of the man who stole my room. She wanted me to be the stable furniture for the next generation of golden children. I was drinking a $45 bottle of wine. The air was a perfect 72 degrees. I said, "I've already contacted Child Protective Services, Mom. I've provided them with a $500,000 educational trust for the kids. But the trust has a zero contact clause. If they ever speak to you or to Kevin, the money disappears. I'm not bringing them to New York. I'm giving them the only thing you never, a life without you." I hung up. I blocked the number. The golden child was finally in the dark. 2028. I am standing on the terrace of the villa in Tuscany. The sun is hitting the 50-year-old stone at exactly 45 degrees. The Sterling Collective is now 400 people strong. We don't buy houses for our families. We buy freedom for the auditors, the people who know how to read the silence. But Kevin is in a minimum security facility in Iowa. He earns 50 cents an hour making license plates. He wears a gray uniform. He has no name. He has no business vision. He spends his days cleaning the floor with a $5 mop. He's finally the stable furniture he always told me I was. Mom is in a state-funded care home. The air is a weather report of disinfectant and old cabbage. She sits in a plastic chair and tells the nurses about the big house she used to own. She tells them about the $4,200 Italian leather sofa. She tells them about her successful daughter. The nurses nod. To them, she is just another ghost in the machine. The colonial house was sold to a young couple. They are both engineers. They fixed the pipes. They replaced the $4,200 sofa with a bookshelf. They don't know who Maya Sterling is. They don't know who Kevin Sterling is. They just know that the mortgage is paid on time every month. I saw Elara, my daughter, in the garden today. She's 12 years old. She was holding a $15 mechanical keyboard. She was trying to fix a sticking key. The enter key is stuck. I looked at the keyboard. The plastic was worn. The letter E was gone. I said, "Don't fix it, Elara. Sometimes a stuck key is the only thing that keeps you from making a mistake. Sometimes you need to wait for the weather to change." She looked at me. Her eyes were a weather report of curiosity and absolute safety. She doesn't know what a golden child is. She doesn't know what a basement smells like. She only knows the sun on the stone. 23rd. I am standing in the Thorne Sterling Logistics Hub in Shanghai. The air is a weather report of high-speed efficiency and the smell of new electronics. We are using the Aries algorithm to coordinate the delivery of medical supplies to 42 countries. Price of the service, free for those who need it. Chinese tech serving the people of the world. The slogan is on a 100-foot LED screen in the lobby. I am not the face. I am not the visionary. I am the architect of the flow. I manage the 240 suppliers. I manage the 121 RPM sorting machines. I manage the silence. I reach into my pocket. I find the $2 instant coffee cup from 2017. It is a relic now. It sits on my desk next to the $1.2 million Patek Philippe. The watch tells the time. The cup tells the truth. If you've watched all 29 parts, understand the final lesson of the Sterling Ledger. The world will try to tell you that you are a tool. They will try to tell you that you are furniture. Let them believe they are the ones sitting on the chair, because the chair is built on the floor. And I am the one who owns the land. 2031. I am 35 years old. I am sitting on the terrace of the villa. The sun is setting over the Tuscan hills. The wind is 2 miles per hour. Pulse. 60 beats per minute. The shadow ledger is closed. The sovereign audit is finished. The family is a ghost. The empire is a heartbeat. I pick up a pen, a simple 50-cent plastic pen. I find a blank piece of paper. I don't write a protocol. I don't write a name. I just draw a single circle, a perfect circle. The beginning and the end. I am Maya Sterling, the daughter of no one, the mother of the future, and the void is finally silent